thing. But one of the things that happened with me when I took the Boga flood dose was the kind of experience most people talk about, the oneness, the interconnectedness. But I also experienced this thing that was like an umbrella. And the umbrella was this system that we were all under. And it was like we're all holding on to the umbrella in different ways, but the umbrella was white supremacy. And I realized that even the term white supremacy is really kind of interesting, because what is it? It describes a kind of racialized, oppressive capitalist system that completely subjugates everybody but puts people on slightly different pedestals. So depending where you are, you can kind of imagine that you're doing a bit better than somebody else, but we're all under this umbrella. And I realized that what this umbrella kind of does is it gives different subjugated people different bits of language to describe their experience. And then you're allowed to kind of use that to protest. So women, we've got lots and lots of language to talk about gender issues and everything. Black people, we've got lots of words to describe what's going on with us. But I noticed that there was, under this white supremacist system, there was this really weird thing that happens, that when you say white supremacy racism with a lot of white people, there's something happens on the inside. There's actually a trauma response. It's either an arguing against it, it's either completely shutting down, going quiet, freezing, or it's ignore it, change the subject. And I realized that, it looks a bit like white people are actually also traumatized, but they're not given the words to talk about their trauma under white supremacy. And it's hidden behind this other term called white privilege. And so white people are supposed to kind of stay in their place and be really happy about this system because apparently it privileged them. But I started looking at certain things around my friends to really see, are people really privileged? Most of my white girlfriends do not want children. And when I ask them about why don't you want children, nearly all of them say, I don't want to bring a child into this world, not under this system the way that it is. And I started to find that really quite fascinating, because if the people who apparently are privileged in this system don't want to bring new life and carry on their genes in this system, it shows they actually, at the most fundamental level, are not feeling this privilege. I wanted to have children. I knew the world that we lived in, and I still wanted to have children. And all of my family want to have children, and we know this world. So I started to realize that there's some unpacking that needs to be done here. And then I think somebody sent me, I'd started having conversations with people, and someone sent me an article about suicide in middle-class white men. And that I found absolutely fascinating, because we're all told that's the pinnacle of the system. If you are a middle-class white man, there's nobody higher than you. So why are they killing themselves in much larger numbers than subjugated communities? And I started to kind of think, where's the place that white middle-class men, or what are the words that they can use to express their dissatisfaction with the system? And I couldn't really find places. I found some interesting books all about racism and understanding biases and political correctness. And what I realized was there was a lot of stuff there for white people who want to tinker around the edges, you know, and you can go and hold up a banner somewhere and talk about deforestation, child labor, poisoning of the earth. You know, there's all these places that it seems like that's where people classed as white are allowed to protest against the system, but they're not allowed to actually touch the big umbrella, which is white supremacy, racism, but racism I even think is almost like just another bit of the tinkering. It's really about the wholesale stealing of the world's resources and then giving everybody a story that says this group of people are the beneficiaries. So let's leave it there. And then everybody else, let's all just be fighting for more rights and all this stuff, while this big oppressive umbrella steals from everybody. And when I started kind of looking at these things and just being shown all this stuff by the medicines, I just kind of realized that when you take the medicines, you get to start having this feeling of oneness and the interconnectedness, and you start to realize that there's another reality, or there's the real reality, and all this other stuff has been put on top. And actually, I think what we all need to do, and what white people need to do, is to actually actively take medicines to break the system. Take medicines to reject the title called white